Hey guys, so I'm having a very difficult week. It's a very hard week, emotionally speaking. Many people say that what I've achieved here is a great thing, and I always tell them, as I tell everybody, that it's not I who's achieved it, it's God who's achieved it through I, because I couldn't have done this before I turned myself over to God. But with everything that goes on here comes a great responsibility. And with that great responsibility sometimes comes great decisions that must be made, and very powerful decisions to make and to sit with you and on you. This is the time of the year where schools pay their children pay their school fees, and as you know, we have been supporting over 600 children in the Children's Fund out in the community, and I'll just say every child with a sponsor is safely and securely in school, as they should be. But in amongst all of that, over the time I've been here, before I had all of these children inside our care, we would get additional donations every month from certain persons, just putting £10 here, £20 there, and this would always equate to a certain amount of money. And those donations now are used on the care of the children here, with 22 special needs children. I mean, just day before yesterday I had to find unexpectedly £300 for a bill for one of the special needs children in hospital. So the costs can be astronomical for this, especially with staffing, food and medical care especially. So that excess money that we used to use, what we used to do is, if certain children came and they didn't have a sponsor, we would send them to school anyway, because, as I always say, God can't fill a person till it's empty, and how could I possibly sit with money in my bank account when I've got children in front of me who are not going to school? And so we would use the money for that. That budget has changed, and on top of that we have children whose sponsors have cancelled on them, and we have other sponsors who have, I mean, just because a sponsor cancels, if you're a sponsor who's cancelled, it's not a bad thing. People's circumstances change, I know that. But we just haven't been able to find a new sponsor for the children. So, close to 70 children who we were supporting in the fund, I know that tomorrow I have to go to the schools and tell them that I can't support those children anymore because I don't have the money to do it. And it kills me. It breaks my heart, because that's 70. It's a huge number. 70 children who I know I'm going to, with a single sentence tomorrow, end their education for the next year unless we find 70 more sponsors to cover them. Like I say, with things that people have told me, they feel that what we've done is great. Here comes great responsibility and great decisions, and very powerful decisions. And it's not even a decision I can choose, it's a decision I've been forced into. I could tell the schools, no, we'll definitely find sponsors for them, but I can't guarantee that. So I really shouldn't do that, because I can leave the school with a deficit, and then the other children will struggle because they might not have enough money for the food bills, etc. So we're about to take 70 children out of school, and I wanted to make this video to say, if you have been sitting on the fence and debating sponsoring a child, or if you've been sitting on the fence and feeling like you might do a fundraiser or do something to raise some awareness, then for the children's fund, then that would be a really amazing time to come forward, because I see the cycle, and that's what kills me. Because there's this cycle that we are trying to break. And now I've been here as long as I have, and you've all seen the projects, everything we have, you see the cycle from start to finish. The start being that you have children who will not be in school and end up labouring, and they get fed up with it. Because there's nothing else for a child to do when they're not in school. How else do they provide for themselves? What else do they do with their lives? So they go to the world of labour. Many run away after they start labouring. Many can't stand it. Others run away looking for the money for school fees. About half of the boys in Angels Gate ran away looking for money for school fees. Now, not all children will run away, but if they do run away, you then all know what happens to those boys. They run straight through the gates of hell. Because they couldn't find what they needed, what every child should just naturally have: education. Clothing, food, education, housing. And I know this planet. I know it better than they do. They think it just isn't available for everyone. I know it is available for everyone. It absolutely is available for everyone. It's just not distributed correctly, physically and psychologically and emotionally and spiritually. The priorities of humanity are not distributed correctly, which echoes in the fact that the children don't have access to education. Yeah. But that's not all as well, because I've got, like I say, a difficult week. I've also got, as I've mentioned, the boys in Majengo, or Angels Gate Street Centre for street involved boys. And there are 25 of them. Now the smaller ones are okay, because we've approached the government and we've got them free education inside the government school system, and we also give them tuition, and we have a teacher who comes even as well to the centre so they can have tuition on a weekend as well, to catch them up, because they're so far behind and they find it very difficult to learn naturally given everything they've gone through. But the older boys in our care, I'm at this point of crisis again. And it's hard for me, because they're coming to me and they say, hey, I'm excited, I found the school I want to do, and I want to go and study tourism and try and be a tour guide when I'm older. I want to study to be a welder or an electrician in vocational training. Because the older boys, they can't go to school, they failed primary school, they can't get into a private school because it's pointless, because some of them don't know how to read and write properly. So we've gotten them into tuition, we've paid for that, and they're learning how to read and write and how to do basic mathematics. And now they're looking at vocational training options, which is the only options they have. And ranging from electricians to welders to hoteliers to someone wanting to drive safari cars. And these are all the things, and I've got, I think, 7 boys like that. But these things cost money, and I don't have the money. And I'm terrified that I'm about to fail them and let them down. Because if they don't get into school, what do I tell them? No, you just stay here and hang out at the centre and we'll get you into school next year. It won't wash with them. They're becoming young men, young adults. They'll just go back to the street. I know they will. So I'm praying hard at the moment, really hard, and begging God for assistance and guidance. And even today, while I was sitting working at my desk, I literally held my hand out. I'd been touching my hair, and as I moved my hand away like this, a feather landed in my hand as it came away from my body. It blew through the window and landed right in my hand. And I started to cry, and so did Fritzy, because it was just so beautiful. Because I know this is one of my signs from God to say, you're not on your own. And I'm sure he has a plan and he's doing something and I just can't see it. But I'm human. And there's a lot weighing on me here at the moment, and I just felt like sharing that side of it. I've just had to take about 70 kids out of school. I can't pay for the school for the boys who are in our care. And I'm going to have to end the children that we have in vocational training. Not our own centre who's teaching how to do sewing, we can keep children there. But the other vocational training centre that we pay for building and electronics and stuff, there's 7 boys in there. I just have to take them out because I can't afford to keep them there with the board. So this week, dozens and dozens of lives will change, and not for the better, unfortunately. So yeah, if you're one of those people who's been on the edge of sharing your support with one of the children, or on the edge of doing a fundraiser or something, now would be a really, really cool time for you to come forward for us. So, because it's a tough week here in Uchiwa. So, but we'll keep on praying, and sorry, I had this little guy on my feet. This is rocky. I'll keep on praying, keep on waiting, because I never knew how any of this was going to happen. I only knew what should happen, and I know what needs to happen, but I can't see how it can happen, but I'm keeping the faith that it will happen as best I can. As I say, I'm human. It's kind of difficult today with what I've got to do tomorrow approaching to keep the faith. So, yeah. And if you're thinking about sponsoring a child and you say, well, there's 70 of them, what difference that's going to make? I shared a story on my Facebook yesterday. I think I'll share it at the end of this video as well to explain why it does matter. So, anyway, much love, guys. Bye.
Whoa.